And we began, Baruch Hashem, another 5 minutes of tefillah. We began learning about tzedakah at the end of yesterday's shir. And tzedakah, we explained, is something that is chaviva. It is so endeared by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, la'olam einay chayzeres reikam. It's a type of tefillah that never turns back empty. And we concluded with the words of the Zayar, that what is it tzedakah? Chetzoyik ve'ina oymar klum. You scream, but you don't say anything. So we have to understand what exactly does that mean, number one. And number two, it sounds like it's a very intense cry for help. It sounds like tza'aka, which will translate as screaming without words, and shaiva, screaming out hysterically, they sound almost exactly the same. So what is the fine nuance of difference that the Medrash is a separate type of tefillah, and how can we tap into that? So we begin by, the Zayar continues and he quotes that when someone screams to the point, he can't move his lips. This is what tza'aka is, and he calls it Selusa Shalemta, the perfect prayer. So you want to know what's a perfect prayer? That's what this is. But then he says two more words. Why is it a perfect prayer? Tehi beliba, because it's with his heart, and therefore it never comes back empty. So let's understand, what does that mean? I'm just screaming with my heart? That's the perfect prayer. So Rav Shimshon Pincus, in his incredible fashion, gives us a mashal that's going to play out exactly what was shaiva, what was the hysterical scream, and what is this tefillah called tza'aka, this wordless scream. He says, imagine you're walking down the road one day or one night, and someone comes up to you wielding a sword, a gun, a knife, whatever it is. You're petrified. You see in the distance, down the block, you see there's another person there. So what do? You scream to that person to help you. Hopefully he'll hear you and he'll come to help you. But what happens when you realize that person doesn't hear you, and the bandit, the robber, the gun, the knife is getting closer? Then you just scream incredibly on top of your lungs with every ounce of your body, hoping to grab that person's attention. Says Rav Shimshon Pincus, the first scream, when you screamed out for help, that was shaiva. That was what we've been learning about. That's utilizing what you thought was every ounce of your body to call out for help. That's at every moment of the day when we realize we need Hashem's help for parnasa, for health, for shidduchim, for our children, for everything. At all those moments, and we come to that one dot of connection to Hashem, that's shaiva. But then there comes a point sometimes that complete and utter despair sits in. Comes the point that we realize that the guy is right getting close to my nose with that knife, and that person down the block didn't hear me. Then I dig even deeper. I dig to a place of complete lave, and I scream out. That second tefillah is tza'aka, is a wordless scream, a plea for help, connecting to Hashem on the deepest, most visceral, most intimate levels that one can imagine. And he concludes this section and he says, does it have to be without words? Because if we're thinking, this is very difficult, because we just finished the previous section saying what we're discussing doesn't have to be external, it's internal. So how do we do this? We internally scream without saying words to connect to Hashem? So he says, no, it could be with words. He quotes a Gemara in Tainis that Eliyahu Hanavi, what did he say in a tefillah? He said, Aneni Hashem Aneni. And that the Gemara calls tza'aka. So this type of tza'aka is just a dire plea for help. It could be words, Aneni, Hashem, help me. Please come to my aid. That's this type of tefillah. And he concludes with one final mashal. He says a person goes to dig and he knows that there's some sapphire gems buried in the ground, and he's digging all over and he can't find them. And then he digs and he hits something hard. He tries to get through it, he can't get through it. So what does he do? He moves to the next place. That guy's a fool. What was the hard thing he was hitting? That was the sapphire. When we daven and we feel like we hit the brick wall, we scream for help and we feel like the guy didn't hear us, now is the point that we could hit tza'aka. Now is the point that we could dig really, really deep and just say, Hashem, Aneni, help me. Viscerally, deeply, with our complete heart, connecting to Him 100%. Have a